about to join the game, which as we can see now, based on the clients, we are getting ready.
A DRX pick blue side?
Select. Yeah, and yeah, their first selection was first pick. And that does mean that DRX now has the choice of side, I assume blue, and there it is. This is, as it was coined yesterday, probably 90% going to be what we're going to see after first selection does come on through. And it is happening once again. So DRX will be on the blue side, however, they will be picking second. It's going to be, once again, one of these very confusing draft scenarios. Now, let's get into it in a backwards sense.
Everyone thinks about Baron Pit and Dragon when they think about blue side and red side.
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
But when you think about the bottom lane and how bottom lane 2v2s work, if you're on blue side and you have the winning bottom lane, you can threaten the jungle a lot easier than you can on red side. So that's a pretty big boon here for DRX if they are worried about losing that bottom 2v2, because that is the expectation here coming into this first game. We'll see what Gen G does first pick. They'll take away the Malphite, so that's not something they're interested in here at all.
Yeah, I wonder what the first pick is going to be if it isn't aiming for a Malphite. I know that, it has been played a little bit by Canyon so far this season, but we know that everyone was kind of spamming it beginning of the year. It's been pretty overpowered. As the Varus going to be taken away here from Giu, one of his sort of like stealth favorite picks. I know that we do like to see him on hyperscaling champions, but this is one that he can actually go toe-to-toe in the early game on. I actually really like that ban from Gen G, because that is going to be where they punish hard, right? And Giu is not going to be able to scale his way into this.
We've seen a pretty jungle-focused draft here overall, but Azir and Orianna are up. Chovy gets his pick here, but it'll likely just be a trade, and with that Poppy ban, that is going to be the case. So see if they want to grab the Orianna or the Azir, and the Azir is so strong on this patch right now. I mean, I feel like I've said that for the last, like, I don't know, the whole time I've been here.
Yeah, it's been many years.
He was gone for like half a year, and that was it. Otherwise, he's been first pickable pretty much the entire time.
Obviously, Riot missed him a lot when he was gone. Like, never again. We're holding on to you for as long as possible. As Yunara and the Xin Zhao going to be locked in here. The Orianna was a consideration, but they decided in the end not to go for it. Pretty standard pickups here. And now Gen G, what is it going to be? Is Canyon going to be playing something interesting in the jungle? Or is it like, imagine if they just locked Skarner and Cassante. I would just be so depressed.
They want more information about what's going to happen in the bottom lane before they lock in something like an Alistar that's been pretty strong with the Yunara. They grabbed the Xin Zhao, which has really fallen out of favor so far on patch 26.1, but it's a relatively safe pick here. Pantheon as a flex can be played in the bottom lane. We saw it crush an Alistar Yunara lane just yesterday, but could also be played in the jungle. And they'll grab the Corki, which is going to give you a lot of power there. It's been Run of Ruler's best in the bottom lane. And since they didn't need to get the Orianna just yet, since the Azir was already locked, that'll be the round out here for DRX.
Well, let's see what Gen G are going to finish this off with. Thankfully, UCal doesn't need to worry about being LeBlanc'd like Roma did yesterday. He, in fact, is already in a matchup against the Azir, and it's one that Orianna has done decently well in the past, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Having a look at some of these bans to come through next.
Could be support focused here. You could take away the Bard, for example, if that's something you're concerned about. Anything that gives you a better chance to survive through this Corki lane, I think is going to feel good. Cassante is taken away instead here, however, first.
Yep. I actually think, yeah, the Keen Sante is certainly a good one to remove. We've actually seen Cassante have a lot of success, especially in the laning phase. We've seen like almost solo kills and things like that, even in the Rumble matchup and stuff like that. So it's certainly looking all right so far this season.
Lulu makes a ton of sense. A lot of laning power there. Almost guarantees you get through that lane. They'll take away a second tank here in the Scion.
Yeah.
And that is really interesting to see. We've seen tanks still be relevant on this patch worldwide, but seeing a lot more aggressive picks instead.
Duro is like, I think he needs a haircut.
Yeah,
I can't see his eyes right now.
Yeah, he's getting a little long. So am I. I haven't got my haircut in a really long time.
He's starting to look like an anime character, you know?
Yeah, he's getting close.
I don't know which one.
If he leans up slightly, like the shine on his glasses.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for.
There's the ban on the Bard here by Gen G.
All right, so Brad has been gotten rid of. Giu now with first look, and it will be the Alistar taken away.
I mean, this makes sense when they ban the Bard and the Lulu. You're like, all right, well, those are the ones I was most worried about. Karma doesn't pair as well with the Corki, and I think they need a little bit more engage here. Now, this could still just be Pantheon in the bottom lane. It looks like that's kind of the expectation here for DRX. We saw this exact matchup yesterday, as mentioned before. The Pantheon into the Alistar, and it looks like Renekton is going to be where Keen goes. Good old classic Genji, the Renekton, the Azir.
Yeah, I mean, at least this does stuff in the mid-game, right? It's not like the full-scaling mega tank, you know, at least Keen can sink his teeth into some stuff. Pun absolutely intended. Duro, are we going to be playing Pantheon, or are we going to be picking a support? That is the question here. Could be something interesting for Canyon. Just lock Nidalee, you know, just have some fun. It could be just like Renekton. Never mind, it's Nami.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that's a ranged support.
Oh my god, Duro's teaching Ruler how to play Nami after he ran it down in the season opening.
He did run it down a little bit. Now, okay, this is something I didn't think we were going to see this early on in the season. The Kennen is actually having a great time as one of the best champions actually with the Gunblade in the top lane. And when you have the range advantage into a melee who's going to look to be a bruiser, look to be a big tool to lock down the AD carry, you're going to have to get through Kennen. The Gunblade is actually be relatively valuable. You'll see what he ends up building, but there's a lot of rumors and rumblings right now of a lot of solo queue Gunblade being played for Kennen in the top lane. This is also an old favorite of Rich's. I do look at DRX's draft here and I think, you know, with the bans we had on the Lulu and the Bard, the Alistar feels okay. The Nami isn't going to crush it as hard. I think that lane is definitely playable. We get to a mid-game where Jiu can finish his quest without finding himself 1,000 gold behind against Ruler, because that just tends to happen. But this draft could work here for DRX.
Yep.
It is, of course, Genji. It is Keen on one of his all-time best picks. And they do get the Azir, which is mind-boggling. It was traded for the Orianna, but still. And they picked the Xin Zhao, which is a decent ball carrier. But
yeah, I mean,
I'm not 100% sold, but I think it could work, Atlas.
I think on paper, this draft is something that could theoretically destroy a Nexus. However, we'll just have to see whether they can play that out on the Rift. That is going to be the biggest difficulty here. As we can see, on the Genji side, some very understandable picks outside of this Nami Corki lane, which we haven't really seen. Nami's generally reserved for Lucian almost every single time, but here we are, onto the Rift for game number 1 of our second day of the LCK Cup. All right, and that is going to be the only fan chance that I will speak through. From now on, it is going to be me on my best behavior, as Duro's going to get knocked up momentarily. A little bit of biffo already in this bottom side, as Barrier is already down.
Yeah,
on
I don't think that's really the way you wanted to utilize it either.
Oh dear.
Well, this is still an Alistar at level 1, and now he's an Alistar at level 1 at about 60% health.
And you mentioned it already, like we have seen this. The Alistar lane did not exactly do the best work. I think it was Polu playing it yesterday. Also didn't exactly play it out all that well. But here's a flash pulverize onto both of them. Ruler taking a little bit of damage, but as you can see, yeah, they're dishing back a whole lot more.
And I think the heal being used instead of the barrier is such an advantage here, especially when you consider, obviously, Andal had to use his heal to set that up in the first place. Ruler still has his barrier. When they look for a potential all-in here with another stacked Q from Jiu, the timing of that with the stacked Q from Jiu allows him to do a ton of damage while the Corki's at level 1, but still, this is going to get tricky.
Oh, Pulverize only hitting onto 1. Fast bomb, bit more damage onto Andal here.
Level 2 about to be hit.
The battle for the minion wave is what it's looking like right now, and you can see level 2 has been gained, but only one more minion, there it is. And Genji will have access to an extra button. Ebb and Flow, Tycole's Blessing, these two things are pretty important, but you do want to have the Aqua Prison to be able to lock down the Alistar when he does decide to go in.
Notice the observers have not panned anywhere else, because this is what this meta is all about. And like, this is 3 summoners down, obviously for 1, as they're looking for another angle here. Ruler still has that barrier.
Yep.
And
Slurkle does a bit of work, but not too much more. As we can see, we have moved to a different lane. As you can see, Rich having a pretty good time. Has gone for the Electrocute variant, wanting a little bit more burst damage in the lane phase. I kind of respect that, as Chovy taking a bit of damage from Yukal here as well. And Yukal, beginning of the year, often pretty dangerous. And I'm hoping he can hold on to that until later in the year as well.
Looking good so far here as Canyon is going to hide in that tri-brush. Here comes another Pulve combo.
Yeah, Ruler trying to get some damage down actually with that Valkyrie, as Andal is very, very close to dead. Jiu just trying to protect his cow as Willa in this brush. I don't think he knows that he's been seen. Canyon's now going to move on forward. Nami's in Nami Pantheon is actually a terrifying combo as well, because you can guarantee the Aqua Prison just with that point-and-click stun that the Pantheon does have. So Duro and Canyon are in the area. You could expect that if you are on your own, you're in a lot of trouble.
I gotta say, you know, I made it pretty clear my expectations where I don't think DRX should fight fire with fire in the bottom lane, and they have been attempting to do exactly the opposite. They are fighting super hard with this Alistar. They used summoners early, and they've been able to maintain a decent amount of control here. They're a little bit far behind, or not far behind, but just barely behind in CS is what I'm really trying to say. It's 100 gold that Ruler has in advantage, but they've been able to get through this first back incredibly well. And yes, it was at the cost of a lot of summoners here, but see how this continues to go here as the Yunara, once she gets out of lane and once the quest is complete, is going to be a big threat later on. Yeah, and already going better than what we saw from this exact lane last time around, into a slightly different matchup, but still one that can be very dangerous. In this back too, DRX used one of their coach voices as well, perhaps resetting expectations for upcoming objective spawns. The Dragon, of course, the first on the menu here. And we have the Alistar kind of roaming around here a little bit. Don't see as much of this on this patch, but in this little bit of reprieve in the bottom lane, can try to get some additional vision here on the top side of the map. He's actually doing a great job of it right now with the prio they have in mid. I actually kind of like using the coach voice like this a bit early on to get some added direction, you know, wondering whether or not they should continue all-inning on the bottom side of the map, whether they want to aim elsewhere and see whether they can maybe double down on Rich and the lead that he could gain on this champion. As Andil already out of lane. We were talking about a lack of support roaming. Well, Andil is bucking that trend. He's all about the support roaming, and they did take half of a health bar from Canyon. It's not exactly the most, but it's honest work. As Andil going to look for another pulverize. He was just annoying Chovy here in this mid lane. I'm not going to get too much out of this, as unfortunately Chovy isn't quite getting what he wanted there. But at the end of the day, you know, it's only a small deficit still for Gio in the bottom lane, and that could have worked out. Had Yukao had level 6, for example, could have actually been a pick there onto Canyon in the jungle. I like the pressure there. Looks like that was clearly communicated by the coaching staff, or at least that's the assumption I have, that something like that was being communicated to Andil, since he was the one making the proactive play there, the hide that you don't normally see in the jungle for that roaming support. Rich has level 6 here. Yeah, Keen does find the dominance now, and so will be a little bit safer in this lane. You can see Canyon also backing him up. Moving on over, spots the fact that the blue buff is now taken. And maybe some more fighting here towards this bottom side of the map, as now Ruler with that Gatling gun trying to see whether he can hit a cow. Might be able to do so, but Gio's going to be moving forward. They get the Valkyrie out. And so Gen.G playing a little bit scared here, and you can see about a 500 gold advantage for DRX to start this game off, despite there being no first blood or anything like that. It's just superior laning largely from Rich here in this top side in a matchup that we've been talking about for so many years. The Kennen versus Renekton seems to be doing still what it says on the tin. Hasn't been that common recently, but making a bit of a comeback as Ruler takes a chunk. Yeah, it's a large amount of damage there. Andil also taking a bit back in kind, but he does have that Triumphant Roar to help him out. Doro will be able to heal up Ruler momentarily with that ebb and flow. Level 5 going to be gained, and wow, that is a decent chunking to come on through there. And this bottom lane has been pretty stable, honestly, for Gio and Andil, as Keen is going to look for a stun here. Yeah, it does manage to at least get a Q off, but you can see Rich able to get a whole lot back as he does try to walk away. Dragon has been started here as well, as you can see. Canyon towards that top side of the map. It doesn't look like Gen.G are going to be able to stop this, so DRX utilizing their lane advantages. Yeah. Grab this neutral objective. Man, they're playing good wolf. Yeah, this is a great start here for DRX, and like, frankly, the fact that they used their summoners early could have been a problem if there was a big fight there, but they backed away from that one where the junglers both showed up, right? You mentioned the Aqua Prison synergy with Canyon on the Pantheon. They were like, okay, let's walk away from this one, but nothing else happened, so they weren't punished for the summoner deficit. They've got both of their all their summoner spells, all three of them back up now. This is the DRX coach comms. Yeah. See Joker making sure that he lets them know exactly what they need to do. We'll get you some information there. Try to open fight, some push mid and top, and scare Canyon. That's what they're looking to do. And that was precisely what we saw immediately afterwards. There's really a lot of information being shared and a lot of discussion about how to utilize the mid prio here, coming through from Joker. And you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Fighting there. Yeah. All right, Andil walking back to lane here, and is going to get punished for doing so. Ruler still sitting at relatively low health, but they do manage to get that plate. He's 10 CS up, which is really important for bottom lane quest progression. It's the lane that gets the most value out of that, and he gets the plate, so that is a pretty big win there, on top of the CS advantage that he has. That was almost a kill's worth of gold in the lead. Grub's up now.
Yep. And there is a wave to be picked up by Geo as well. As okay, there's a pulverize as Canyon throws up the shield to try and keep himself safe. The flash out of the way. There's the shockwave. And Canyon looking in a whole lot of trouble. That's Willa locking down the kill. And first blood over to DRX.
DRX looking great in this opening game here. The punish onto Canyon was real. The fast collapse was there. The flash shockwave ends up being what does him in. Canyon is now down. Keen in this tough matchup in the top side can't control top priority, and that's likely just going to turn this into a grub take. They already got first dragon. I don't think there's any play without Canyon on the map that can happen cross map here on the bottom side. So the Yunara is just sitting back and scaling. And Jovi's coming over here. Now, Yukal still doesn't have his ultimate. This is going to be a risky fight if Gen.G go for it. Canyon can ult in, and it looks like DRX will respect it.
Yeah, Emperor's Divide is available, no shockwave, so maybe that's something that DRX had on their minds. But it looks like Canyon just going to be clearing some vision. Might be able to tidy up these last two grubs. The first one being taken there by Willa, though, certainly very important. Make sure that he stays ahead.
Really measured gameplay just in general for DRX. Like, they know where their advantages are. They're playing slow. They're not taking unnecessary risks.
Yeah, it's just not what I was really expecting here. I kind of thought that Gen.G, the well-oiled machine, not changing their roster at all. Remember, this is a bunch of changes here for DRX. Geo moving in. You've got Willa now in the jungle as well. Vincenzo alongside him, but it's Willa that's starting here today. As Canyon will be the one to get on in here and take away at least one of these grubs. Willa can possibly go for a little bit of a late invade on this, but decides not to as Chovy had been roaming over anyway. So close to that 1,000 gold still here for DRX. We don't have any quest completions just yet. We'll be getting closer and closer to that as the flash forward, but the stun is really good. Slice and dice as Keen still looking for it. Doesn't quite manage to get that Ruthless Predator off, and Rich just playing real well on this cannon. You can really tell that this is one of his favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't use his ultimate there either because he knows there's a possibility Canyon's going to ult in and doesn't want to commit to the fight. Now, this ends up being Canyon a little bit greedy here. The punish comes through, but the domino effect of this play is that this flash Orianna ultimate here, as you watch Willer go through to guarantee this one, means there's no Orianna ult for the grubs. So, Gen.G do end up getting the grubs, or 2 out of the 3 as a result of this. So we're going to call the no flash here on the bottom side, another Coach Com usage.
Yep. Get a little bit of a reminder of what we did get in those Coach Comms there as well. There's now Ruler and Duro clearing out some vision. You've got Willa once again in the area, though they are overloading this bottom side as once more Andel making things happen. Gets the exhaust down in trade for the flash. You'll say definitely worth for that one on the DRX side. As Gen.G just trying to kind of patch the holes in the ship right now, and DRX are making all the moves.
Yeah, this is a really, really interesting start, like subverting expectations. This does not look like Rise group behavior here out of DRX right now.
Well, remember, Worlds is in North America again this year.
Ooh.
And you know what that means for DRX? That means that they can go and try and defend their North American Worlds title.
That's right.
That they still hold.
Absolutely.
So there that is. I don't know whether this roster is going to be able to do it, but I definitely didn't know that the last one was going to be able to do it. So, I mean, this one maybe even looks better. Because, yeah, 2022 DRX kind of blows my brain.
Jiwoo has his first item, the Kraken Slayer, completed, and Ruler does not. He's stacking his tier now, but, you know, he's still a ways away from finishing that first item, the Triforce here. So, you know, a pretty big like setup across the map. Like, they ended up losing 2 of the grubs, but it doesn't necessarily matter in this draft. And at this point in time, like, the Yunara is actually comfortable laning into the Corki with the Alistair that has level 6. Willer, once again, is going to use this Prio a second time to grab control of this Drake, and they're going to get a 2 Drake lead off of this double Dragon at the start. And, you know, Canyon could try to make a play onto Rich, but look at how quickly he's pushed that up. He's relatively safe here.
Yeah.
That's their only cross map.
Yeah, Gen.G just kind of caught napping right now in this game, and Willa going to be able to take this one. We'll have a look at what our next... oh my, Earth, Wind, and Fire again? First game yesterday, first game today. Oh my goodness, it's my birthday. I love this.
All right, going to go for Rich.
Canyon is just going to kill Rich. That's what he's going to opt in for here, and Rich is going to do his best, but yeah, Slicing Maelstrom not going to be doing too much. And so Gen.G, they are on the board. I still think that getting that second Drake probably still very valuable here for DRX. And losing Rich, not going to be the end of the world.
It looked for a while like Rich was backing pretty safely. I think he stopped channeling his back. He was in that brush, and that was the go button there. Canyon was in position. He knew there was a possibility because he's like, well, they're not contesting Dragon. This could happen to me, as we'll watch this again. Yeah, he's in. He stops his recall on the ward, and Canyon's like, well, get him.
Yeah.
I think you got to finish those. He does not have his Gunblade yet at this moment. Did have the Vamp Scepter, that's all, and the Alternator in his inventory. Does have it now.
Yeah, he's put that together. My favorite item in League of Legends. Just so glad.
I think this is the first time we are seeing it. I didn't think we saw it yesterday.
Yep, so far today. We did see an Akali ban. I know that she'd probably like to build it. But this is going to be the first time. There's that other new item, the weird Trinity Force-ish type thing that's not Lichbane.
Oh, Dusk and Dawn?
Yeah, but apparently that's not very good on Canon, based on a question that was asked to Zeus earlier on.
That's a Jax item now, it seems like.
You can build it on Diana.
Yeah.
Building it on Diana a little bit. It's kind of fun. I imagine Mordekaiser uses it relatively well.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one.
Well, the UI dropped, so I thought something special was happening here, but it doesn't look like it. As Rich,
it looks a lot more cinematic now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Maybe we can just leave it down forever. We just like, from now on,
it's like StarCraft Brood War. You kind of have to know what's going on.
You have to tell. It's pure tempo vibes. It's the only way that we'll ever know. As Ruler does a lot of damage to Jiu, I'd say that Ruler has the tempo vibes. As we do get back a little bit of UI here, so that we do know a little bit more about what's going on.
On this flank here, I don't think really wants to engage.
Ooh, decides to go in though. There's the stun back. Duro not quite in position to get an Aqua Prison down.
Chovy has no prio, so I guess this does kind of work out if they can set up for this control of the Tri-Brush, or rather the Banana Brush.
Yeah,
and it's not going to amount to anything.
Sneaky Slurkle does come on through there, but not too much more. As Canyon once more, there's that combo we were talking about. Handle probably not going to be dying, but Jiu, he might, because he's down extraordinarily low. Barrier not going to be saving him from that one, but he does manage to dash away and flash away to safety just in the nick of time. But that is using every single resource that they will not have. May not be enough to defend this turret.
Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a problem here. Chovy gets back control of the mid lane as well with this rotation over of Yukao. We'll be able to catch this wave. Chovy committed heavily, to try to come over there and make a play happen. I think that's why they hard forced there, because they were like, all right, well, if we don't do this, Yukao's just going to go back mid. We're going to lose more plates. And then they heavily committed. They got Yukao to come down there. They got the flash out of Jiu and additional plate gold. So ends up being a pretty big win here for Gen G. You're only 500 gold behind now in this game. The Grubs will be pretty relevant for the Azir. And the side lane does have his Nashor's Tooth now online. Stridebreaker's up here for Keen. This next Dragon fight is going to be the first real potential grouped fight of the game. This Herald is actually maybe even a little bit faster. I just don't think Gen G are set necessarily for the best contest here.
Well, Canyon can move in and does have the Grand Starfall as well. They are looking for a fight here by the looks of things. Tidal Wave available. There's the flash out, but Pulverize though, as it's Andal that decides to go in onto Ruler. The heal comes through though, and he's now kept himself safe as Keen from the top side, and now it's Gen G's turn to put their weight into the fight. Let's see what they can find. A Slicing Maelstrom does absolutely nothing. The flash forward from Canyon, and the flash away from Rich is going to keep him alive as now Chovy looks for his angle, decides not to pull the trigger on the flash and just gets rid of all of DRX. And Gen G says, this is my Herald.
It's incredible this game is a 2-kill game.
Yeah.
And nobody dies, but it is the big prize of the Herald that goes over to Gen G here. All in attempt.
Yeah, G looking for that angle there as Ruler does have his barrier, uses it, but it's not to the full effect. G is still looking a bit worse for wear though, as Ruler now with that Trinity Force is pretty deadly.
Yeah, not to mention that Gio used his ultimate there and won't necessarily have it for an upcoming fight. That was a good, points for trying there on that one, I suppose.
Oh dear.
And
Chovy's getting a lot of money.
Yeah, that's somewhat of a problem. He does obviously have his quest completed as well.
That number says 192, and it's only 17 minutes into the game. What does it mean?
Yukao's staying in touching distance with him as well.
That's true, actually.
They are both
Chovying effectively.
Yeah, he has had a pretty good game himself on this Orianna. He unfortunately was not there, and I guess we're not going to get a replay because nobody died, but when that engage came through from Willer, imagine a shockwave on top of that. Would have been massive, but he was not there, and they were able to retreat. It was a beautiful retreat from DRX, but they lose the objective.
Zandil will be taking a fair bit of damage here. Doesn't quite have the ulti back up and available, so he was killable in that moment, but relatively close to the turret, so he's absolutely fine. As Canyon has started this dragon off, Willer in the area. That is sole point for DRX if they're going to go for it. As you do have Rich moving up there from the bottom side, as now Andal goes in. I don't know about that one, as he does get put into that bubble. And now has to use the ultimate. Won't have that for this Upcoming fight, which could be a big problem. Tidal wave to lock down Willer is now Chovy. Gets the Emperor's Divide, finds the bottom lane, and wipes them out. Willer now in trouble as well, and that should guarantee the Dragon. Gen.G were a little sleepy at the beginning of this game, but I think, Wolf, they have woken up.
Yeah, it's Chovy again finding this angle. He had the back into the TP into the last fight. Wasn't able to catch them when he came in, but was able to guarantee that DRX needed to be so far away from the Herald, and then this time actually sets up the kill onto the flashless Yunara. And now Rich is the next target here. Does not have his slicing Maelstrom, and he is not long for this world.
He is very dead. Chovy going to be grabbing his next one. 2-0-1 now on the Azir. 500 gold lead. As you can see, Gen.G going to augment that with a Drake take as well. Quadra Infernal, if this game does go that long, could be pretty impressive. And they've skyrocketed to a 3,000 gold lead. Let's see how this all started.
Yeah, unfortunately, Willer here on this Xin Zhao just isn't going to be able to make a big impact when we look for a fight like this, because he just doesn't have setup CC. And the fact that Canyon could just stun him into this ultimate coming through from Duro means he cannot get back to defend anywhere in mid. And Chovy's just like, all right, well, the jungler's gone. There's no peel here. The Alistar's ult was popped already. I'm just going to look for the freebie. Could see him come down here and look for it. Knows there's no flash on the Yunara. Has the perfect shuffle in. Grabs a bonus Alistar for his troubles.
Yep, no flash required as well. So we'll have that for the upcoming fight at the same time. It went about as well as it could possibly here for Gen.G. Everyone with their quest completed though, and we'll see what the utilization of those is going to look like as this game goes on. A level 20 Crocodile sounds very, very frightening, but Rich could also get himself into a pretty dangerous position. As you can see, trying to kite Keen out here, and the Dominus is going to come through. Slicing Maelstrom in response, as Rich is still dangerous, but it's Willer that's moving in first now, but still just a solo bolo for Keen. And Canyon going to come down and help out. There is the stun, and down will go Willer for the double. And man, we were saying the Rich could be a point of power. Well, that has gone.
Yeah, this is a big problem now. That's the second turret to go down here for Gen.G. Plates are available for the entirety of the game now, so keep that in mind, as that last plate there on the top side, that last turret is also going to go down. So this will be the third, plus an extra plate for Chovy.
Oh dear.
And it's starting to look like this game is well and truly Gen.G's to lose, as Rich here unfortunately gets very little out of his slicing Maelstrom here. And Willer comes over to try to help, but he's just another victim here now, as Canyon can show up with his ultimate. It's a numbers game. They thought they were winning, but they forgot about Pantheon, forgot about Canyon.
Just didn't quite work out there, and even using the ultimate to absolutely no effect whatsoever is a very sad thing. So Andil taking a lot of damage here as well, as Ruler throws the fast bomb out, but Andil will be able to walk away. And DRX, despite all of that early game power that they had, it is all kind of slipped away. And we'll see whether they can do anything about it, because it just feels like this game has just been taken by Gen.G.
Third and final coach voice is used here for DRX for the last moments.
Oh. Tidal Wave was a little bit expectant there from Duro. Doesn't quite find the angle as well. That was really cute. Chovy, though, just going to throw Yukal away. The slice comes in, but that is going to be the double for Rich. Comes in and wipes them out. Ruler now able to answer back with the kill onto the Yunaras. Rich is now looking to wipe him out. He will be able to do so. He's now looking for some fish food, as Duro will be taken. And he heard what we were saying after he got solo killed. Well, the killer is right here now and looking to try and tidy up there. Looking to kite him, though, and Keen's in trouble. Pulverize comes down. It's a Quadra from Rich.
All right, we were saying it may have been Gen.G's game to lose. They very, very well have lost at least the lead with this play here. Keen, the raid boss, okay, up 3 levels there on one of his victims in that last exchange, but also gives his life and his teleport to make the play happen. Now, Keen, look at the minimap. He was pinging. He wanted to interrupt Rich's teleport, but I guess wasn't able to do so. Rich has been able to flash the wall here with a slice and Maelstrom. The other side of the fight is super broken up. Ruler's able to use his barrier to great effect to take out Jiu here, but this might have actually been a Baronable exchange. Keen gets into the backside here with the teleport. It takes him so long to kill this level 12 jungler, though, and then Rich can come over and join. Still ends up doing a ton here. Gets Yukal's flash as well before he goes down. So Keen's heroics not completely in vain.
얘들아 그 마지막 턴 썼는데
And having a listen here to what Joker is saying, I imagine what he said was pretty important, because it did manage to get them back into this game. And DRX, let's see whether they can ride this momentum, because I was really scared. Judging by what we saw yesterday, the games have tended to fall out of control relatively quickly. This is DRX being able to pull themselves back in, though. You can see 1.5k is basically nothing. They already have those 2 dragons.
Yeah, apparently
that's fantastic.
But we didn't know, but this is Joker's realm. He's like, I've been waiting for Coach Voice.
Yeah.
This has definitely been the most aggressive utilization of it we've seen so far, and it has been incredibly impactful for this squad right now. And I mean, looking at the game state here, it's still Ruler with a pretty huge advantage here. Chovy as well, you know, sitting on 2 items with the upgraded boots is a big threat. And I'm looking at this game state thinking, okay, how do DRX win? Maybe a pick in the side lane here could be a first start.
Yeah, Sluckle going to come on through there as now Chovy does find the Emperor's Divide onto Gio, who's tanking up the turret, but it does not matter. That is just going to be Willa turning up, helping Gio grab himself the kill. That will also take down this turret. Keen doing the same thing towards the bottom side of the map, and it looks like a dragon in trade as well.
I mean, they've got to start Baron right now. They have to make a snap call. There's no Coach Voice for this one. You're out, used all 3. And let's see. Okay, we're going to see the teleport over here from Yukao. They are going to stick the Baron. They've got one more chance at this game. This could be what wins it for them if they can secure this.
Yeah, this could be a big deal. It's already down to 50% as Ruler and Dura. They know exactly what's going on. Andal waiting offside, though, as you can see. Canyon will be showing up. Keen gets here as well. Canyon trying to get himself into this pit. Can he actually flash for it? The answer is no. They take down the cow immediately, though, and DRX, they're just looking to try and get themselves out after securing this Baron. And if they just lose the cow, 100% worth. If they lose Willer as well, probably still worth.
I mean, Chovy's TPing in to try to rush down this turret. He is in his ear on 2.5, perhaps even 3 items here. Okay, just on 2. And the Dark Seal, but he could do a lot of work to this turret. Rich is going to come over here and try to defend it. Keen also level 16, but doesn't have his ultimate. I think this is absolutely worth for DRX. Remember as well, Canyon dropped Dragon to come up to try to defend the Baron, so they didn't actually get the second Dragon of the game here. They will now, but it's going to require a lot of time, and they're not going to be able to have as much pressure on the map as a result of it. Andal's going to TP here mid to help defend. And DRX hang on in this game, still 2,500 gold behind. It's even Drakes now, but this Yunara becomes a bigger and bigger threat as we go on. And the team fighting power of this cannon, if it can be realized fully with a flank, with a nice TP, is still so potent that it's anyone's game to win now.
I would agree. I do think one of the scary things is that Ruler is like 50 CS up, right? This Corki is incredibly dangerous. With the Collector now completed, sitting on 3 items, and is only going to get more scary from here. Gio, of course, once that Infinity Edge is done, he will also be a terrifying threat. But for right now, Ruler is the guy to watch out for. We saw that in that fight. He just kind of blew Gio up before he could do anything.
You can see sometimes in game states like this, if you haven't hit a turret for a while, that crystalline overgrowth is there, and DRX are like, all right, well, if you guys don't come over, I will kill this turret in about 2 seconds flat. So that's a lot of gold sitting there for the taking, as well as a lot of map control, and they will just get this group up and take it.
Oh, the flash forward from Willa doesn't actually get enough, as Ruler was able to get that Valkyrie off in time. That could have been a huge moment. It wasn't actually the case, as now Rich has made his way in.
Yeah, that was a strange teleport there for Rich. Doesn't really have an angle, unfortunately, and just there's no objective either. That was a bit bizarre. But it's going to help them control some of this vision here. They have great vision and setup for a dragon that doesn't exist.
True.
If Genji had to rotate over to take this dragon, they'd be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
They, however, do not.
They could practice taking the dragon with the amount of control they do have. That is 100% true. But only a 2,000 gold lead. And they only need to get themselves another couple of Drakes and they can grab an Infernal Soul. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to get the last couple.
They still have Baron to siege this turret here. I mean, they're just going to say, well, we're going to get something out of this Baron no matter what.
Well, Tidal Wave to come on forward here as well. Teleport in from Keen at the same time as the Dominus has been popped. He's looking for his angle, wants to get on top of Gio, but decides not to commit the flash. And they do have this tower falling down in the bottom lane, sorry, in the top lane, as well as the bottom. As you can see, Rich was taking care of that one. As now Ruler stepping forward, taking matters into his own hands here as the Arc of Judgment not doing quite, sorry, the Arc of Ruin not quite doing enough there from Gio. As DRX a little worse for wear, and the Baron only 5 seconds to go, not exactly getting the most value.
Yeah, this is a great game, man. I mean, DRX look on the back foot constantly, but they're trying to get these small incremental things. And if it was in any other team, you'd be like, oh, this is a little rough. But it's Gen G they're doing it into, right? When you consider the context of how much macro this team has been able to pull off in this game. Sure, Chovy's running circles around them right. He gets the top turret there. It's a trade of turrets, or a trade of a turret for plates there in the mid lane. But Rich still got the bottom turret. They got the TP out of Keen. They're getting small advantages here. It's still a 2-2 Drake game. It's going to be one of our longest games, if not the longest game, if things continue at this rate here of LCK Cup 2026 thus far. Of course, small sample size.
Yeah, I mean, we
6
did
games.
We did have some longer games in our first series yesterday, but I feel like it wasn't ever this much back and forth. It felt like there was one team that did find themselves a decent advantage by at least this time, right? But we've got even Drakes. Everyone's finished their quests. We've got level 17s for both of our top laners.
I mean, look at the items on Rich. He has his Void Staff.
Yeah, he's very scary.
IE is done for
Jill gets the flash out of Durit. Very nicely done there is now Keen, the one in trouble. Willer and Rich looking to catch up to him, but he just slices away. No flash required. And of course, flash on Renekton going to be so incredibly important because this is Jiu without cleanse, right? He has the barrier, and so that means this Ruthless Predator will be so valuable.
He does still have Flash, which is critical. Ruler has Flash and Valkyrie, so locking him down with this cannon is going to be nigh impossible. And I think that's the problem that DRX are somehow going to solve, not to mention that Chovy is massive as well and has an arm guard. Both carries so safe for Genji.
Well, Canyon just going to make his way in as now Yukal has to flash to get himself out of the way. Jiu slowed down so he cannot get into the fight. And Andal, he's tanking up so much, but there's no one to follow up. Rich this time couldn't make his way in despite having Flash up and available. And now it's Willer that's in a lot of trouble. They do find that fantastic shockwave, but it's just not enough. Keen gets in there. Chovy gets the Emperor's Divide, which will turn Yukal golden. But unfortunately, that does not avoid death. That's a clean ace, and Genji are just going to run over them.
All right, I guess it just isn't going to be that long back and forth game. The back and forth ends on Genji's fourth.
A relatively short back and forth. Let's go with that, because it was definitely back and forth. However, if you lose a fight like that at this time of the game, you will just lose the game. Inhibitor goes down, and Genji will be able to take down these turrets. But I imagine they are also impressed with how DRX played this game, especially in the early stages. This is a new roster that has a lot of pieces that haven't quite gelled together yet. And I didn't really have a whole lot of hope for this squad moving into 2026, and I have so much more now.
Yeah, I think that DRX, especially in terms of macro and their setup and their early game plan here, kind of blew me away. In terms of expectations, I did not really have any for them coming into this series. And I still think Genji is likely going to close this one out in the next game, but that was really impressive. And if this is...
그냥 구워볼게. 앞으로 나가줄래?
얘네 갈렸다.
천천히.
알리부터. 오리아 노플.
알리부터 내려, 알리부터.
오리아 노플이야. 알 잡았어. 미드가. 남이 일로 와.
일명 막는다. 일명 막았어.
에 넘어갈게. 괜찮아.
맞아.
여기 오리아 노플. 어지러. 와우. 시원한데요?
끝난 거 같은데?
끝난 거 같아.